Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Melissa here today. Miss Melissa is here today to do small group. We are going to be doing on Intentional Teaching Card LL25, What's for Snack. So the objective for today is to demonstrate a knowledge of print and its uses. So what Miss Melissa is going to be doing today and what you guys are going to be doing at home is Miss Melissa is going to be reading you a recipe. And after Miss Melissa reads you the recipe, we're going to go ahead and see, what do we know in this recipe? What letters do we know? What sounds does that letter make? Are there capital letters? Are there lowercase letters? Do we know any short words, any long words? So we're going to be reading the recipe together, and then we're going to go ahead and find things that we can identify in our message of prints. So the materials that you're going to need at home is a recipe or even an ingredients off a snack. So it could be labels from a snack, from maybe a granola bar, cookies, a box of cereal, maybe a box of Cheerios, a box of Lucky Charms, even off some juice that you might have in the refrigerator, the ingredients on the back of the apple juice label, pretzels, anything that you can come across in your pantry that has a label, or even a recipe that mom or dad might have in their kitchen drawer. Also, you're going to need paper and other something to write with, marker, pencil, crayon. So now what we're going to do is Miss Melissa is going to read the recipe to you first. After we go ahead and read the recipe, then we're going to look at the recipe together and see what are the ingredients. So let's start by reading. So remember, always when you're reading, you want to start from left to right. So we're going to use my finger and we're going to go along. Play-Doh recipe. Ingredients: 1 cup of flour, right? And we see 1 cup of flour, 1/3 cup of salt. We see our salt measured out. 1/2 cup of water. We see our 1/2 cup of water in the measuring cup. 2 teaspoons of canola oil. So here we see our oil. Food coloring, right? And that means where it can change our Play-Doh into a different color. Now the directions. Direction says, first, mix the flour and salt into a bowl. Now I stopped here because there is a period. Next, slowly add the water and canola oil into the same bowl. I stopped at the end of the sentence because the period is telling me to stop. Then add drops of food coloring. Lastly, with your hands, mix all the ingredients until smooth. Now I stopped at the end of my sentence because I saw a period. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at our recipe. We're going to see, what letters do we see? What sounds do those letters make? Can we identify any of these words in this recipe? Any sight words that we might know? So let's look first. Let's look at the first word or the first letter in ingredients. So here we see the word ingredients, right? It has the I. Ingredients. What letter does ingredients begin with? Yes, the letter I. So Miss Melissa is going to go ahead and circle the letter I. It makes the I sound. And ingredients begins with the letter I. So let's look closely. What else can we identify in our ingredients? Yes, the number 2, right? So we can find words or even numbers. So we see the number 2. So Miss Melissa is going to go ahead and circle the number 2. Is there anything else in that? It says in that part of the ingredients, 2 teaspoons of canola oil. Can anybody identify another letter they might know? Yes, the C. Now tell me, is that a lowercase c Miss Melissa circled or an uppercase C? Excellent, a lowercase c. And the C makes the cat. Who can think of another word, the C? Candy, right? Begins with the letter C. Now, let's look at the last ingredient. It says food coloring. It's made the letter F for food. Can you make the sound an F makes? Yes, food. Right, so I'm going to circle the letter F. Can someone else tell me another? Does anybody know any words that begin with the letter F? We have food. How about box? Box. Or fruit, right? All of those words begin with the letter F. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the directions. Now we're going to stop and see, are there any short words that we might know or any 3-letter words that we can identify? It says, first, mix the flour and salt into a bowl. Is there any word in that line you can tell me a 3-letter word? Yes, the word end. Miss Melissa is going to go ahead and circle it. A-N-D, end. And what letter does N begin with? Yes, the letter A lowercase a we see here. Now let's look at the next line and see if we can see another word that we might recognize. Next, slowly add the water and, I see that word end again. I'm going to go ahead and circle it, canola oil, into the same bowl. So now I just saw a 3-letter word that I might know. Yes, the word the, that most of us might know. It spells T-H-E and has a the sound. All right, let's read the next sentence. Then add drops of food coloring. I see a 2-letter word in here. The word of. Who can tell me, what does of begin with? Yes, excellent. The letter O and F, of. Now let's read the last sentence. Lastly, with your hands, mix all the, there's that word the again, a 3-letter word. I'm going to go ahead and circle it. T-H-E, the ingredients until smooth. So I'm going to stop. And what was that I said that I put at the end of the sentence? Yes, a period. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the period. So let's see. We were able to identify how many words end. 1, 2. We were able to find 2 words end. A-N-D. And what letter does the word end begin with? A. Excellent. Then we went ahead and found 1, 2, the. The is a 3-letter word. T-H-E. And the last word we found was a 2-letter word. Of. O-F. And then lastly, we found a punctuation. We found a period. That means you stop at the end of the sentence. Excellent. So here we were just able to demonstrate knowledge of prints and its uses, right? We started ingredients with a capital I. We were able to identify a number, right? The number 2. We were able to identify a capital F in food, and F makes the F sound. So now what you boys and girls are going to do at home is you're going to go in your pantry and you're going to find me a snack. It could be a cereal box. It could be pretzel box. It could be a cookie box. It could be apple juice box. It could be a recipe. Like Miss Melissa went ahead and read you a Play-Doh recipe. It could be a recipe that mommy cooks with, or maybe she has a Play-Doh recipe at home, or a chicken recipe, a rice recipe. All you're going to do is go ahead and read it with mom and dad, and I want you to identify some print that you're able to recognize. It could be a capital letter. It could be a lowercase letter. It could be a sight word like the word the that we found. It could be a punctuation. It could be a period, a question mark. It could be an uppercase letter, a lowercase letter. Whatever it is that you're able to identify that mom and dad will be able to share with me on Class Dojo. So when you are looking at your label that you find in your pantry or your recipe that you have at home, I want you to identify 2 features of print. How many features? 2 features of print on your snack label, okay? You're going to be using your finger, right? Just like Miss Melissa did, and you're going to be reading from left to right. So as you're reading, Play-Doh recipe, right? I'm going from left to right. So I want you to use your finger from left to right. Next, you're going to write down on a chart the words you were able to identify, or circle them like Miss Melissa did so mom and dad can share with me. And then you'll be able to tell me, what was I able to identify? What letters, what sounds, what sight words was I able to find? So I hope you guys have so much fun finding something that is interesting, a label that you want to look at in your pantry, or remember, a recipe. And I want you to identify some print that you know, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and upload your video or take a picture of the letters and words that you were able to identify. All right, boys and girls, have so much fun using your recipe or the label on the back of a snack, and I can't wait for you to share with me soon. See you soon.